Right friends, welcome back to 13th session of revision, and several friends are suggesting that let us separate various events, and as I admitted, it is not becoming that easy to separate like S&T, like ecology, environment, like that, and from next week onwards I decided to separate them. So, next week in the 4 sessions, 2 I am planning to deliberate on Indian geography. 2 sessions will be on Indian geography. The next third session next week will be on the repercussions of various committees' recommendations during the year. One session will be on international organizations, and next to next week probably we may deliberate on further S&T related issues. So, next week I decided 4 sessions will be Indian geography, 2 sessions, 1 committees and commissions reports and its consequences, 1 session, and the next session will be on international organizations. And several students are asking about art and culture. Definitely I will include what best is possible from my side. Art and culture, ecology, environment, and in fact I am including several S&T related questions you might have observed in revision as well as Q&A. Look at the first one. Sikkim is organic. Sikkim became India's first organic state. Around 75,000 hectares of agricultural land was certified by organic, right. So, here one important aspect is it is as per the guidelines of National Program for Organic Production. And before going ahead, this is Kanchenjunga National Park in West Sikkim. This became World Heritage Site along with Nalanda, along with the capital complex Chandigarh. These 3 things please do not forget. And Sikkim, if you look at other aspects, as I have already told you, Kanchenjunga National Park was declared as World Heritage Site by UNESCO along with the 2 others, and Sikkim was awarded the cleanest state in India by NSSO. At the same time, it was adjudged as the cleanest tourist destination by the Ministry of Tourism, and it became ODF, that means open defecation free. So, all these things do not forget when you are looking at the state of Sikkim. And at the same time, organic, what is the meaning here? Organic cultivation is free of chemical pesticides and fertilizers. These 2 things please do not forget. One is organic cultivation is free of chemical pesticides and fertilizers, and it gives emphasis on compost, manure, green manure, as well as crop rotation, as well as biological pest control. We discussed yesterday about biopesticides and companion planting. Like this, organic farming is being done, right. Then Aditya L1. So, this is named Aditya L1. There is a reason for naming it as L1. What is L1? L1 is the Lagrangian point of the Sun Earth system. What is the advantage of Lagrangian point? From Lagrangian point, you can view continuously the sun without any occultation or eclipses. Without any obstructions or eclipses, one major advantage of this Lagrangian point is we can continuously view the sun without any occultation or eclipses. So, the satellite placed in the halo orbit around the Lagrangian point. So, this Aditya L1 is named because of that. So, the satellite will be placed in the halo orbit around the Lagrangian point of the Sun Earth system, and it has got the major advantage of this continuously viewing the sun without any eclipse or anything. And halo orbit, what is the meaning? It is a periodic 3-dimensional orbit near the Lagrange points. So, this will be launched near L1. So, the sun can be viewed without any obstructions. So, here another important aspect is this region is known as corona and this is photosphere. So, here 2 regions please do not forget. Photosphere is the region which emanates light and heat, that is photosphere and corona. So, let us look at further. What is the purpose of Aditya L1? It is mainly to observe the solar corona. Solar corona is aura of plasma that surrounds the sun and other stars. If you look into this picture, this entire white portion is corona. This entire white portion is corona. So, it is to observe corona, and the corona is the outer layers of the sun extending to millions of kilometers above the photosphere. But the puzzle so far is, the puzzle which is not understandable is, the temperature of photosphere is much less in comparison to the temperature of corona. So, here the temperature of corona is much higher in comparison to photosphere. So, the reason is not understandable so far. Then if you look at further, it is expected to provide observations of sun's photosphere, chromosphere and corona, and remaining things I have given here, please go through them. So, this Aditya L1 experiment details are very important. Then Scorpene class of submarines, a question is expected on this. I have listed out everything, please go through it. It is conventional powered submarine and it can go up to 300 meters deep, and Scorpene class of submarines, this is built by Mazagon Docks Limited in Mumbai with technology transfer from DCNS of France. So, this is the joint initiative or technology transfer from DCNS of France, and it is the $3.75 billion deal, and INS Kalvari, INS Kanderi, these belongs to this class. Total 6 submarines are to be built, and the submarine is the quietest military platform. It is extremely tough to detect. It has got stealth properties. What is the meaning of stealth? Stealth is basically, it is very difficult to detect it, right. So, its main cover is its ability to move stealthily underwater and keep an eye on enemy movement. It will be underwater, it will be difficult to detect it, but it detects other enemy things, enemy vessels, it will detect. So, that is why it is called stealth. Stealth properties is this, and this submarines having stealth properties will act as second strike capability. Here, if something happens, when the first strike capability, or you can say nuclear weapons are destroyed, after that this submarines can be used to go for second strike capability, right. And if you go further, here how do submarines operate? Submarines operate underwater, they rely on sonar or sound waves for communication and detection, and each class of submarine operates with specific frequencies. Recently, the data leak of Scorpene class of submarines was into the news. That is why I am explaining this clearly. Each class of submarine operates with specific frequencies, right. And here, what is the meaning of stealth? Stealth means it is not possible or it is difficult to detect. Every military platform has a footprint on the radar. Every military platform can be reflected on the radar, and it is, this footprint is used for the adversaries to track it. So, it is extremely important to minimize the footprint to protect military assets. So, that is why for a submarine, stealth is the most important protection. So, this can be increased relatively to varying levels by adopting several measures. So, this is all about Scorpene class of submarines, and these have got stealth properties. And next week, maybe next to next week, we discuss about INS Arihant as well as INS Chakra. I will try to cover as much defense capabilities as possible, right. Then reservoir and river water levels from satellite altimetry. And here, this is one important news. This year, this reservoir water levels are being monitored with satellite altimetry. Please go through this article. In India, regular monitoring of water resources such as reservoirs, the level of water in reservoirs is being done by altimetry, and developments in the field of radar altimetry. Please don't forget about Saral Altica satellite. Saral Altica satellite, it is helping to measure fluctuations in water levels of major reservoirs and rivers in India. Here the satellite with Argos and Altica, which is known as Saral, is a joint India-French satellite which was launched in 2013. It is basically meant for oceanographic studies, and the payload here, that is Altica, that is built by French National Space Agency CNES. And here how this satellite altimeter works. This satellite altimeter is primarily meant for ocean applications. Here it is providing important data for inland water levels of reservoirs, water levels of rivers. These are being monitored with this. It is based on the measurement of two-way travel time of short pulse of electromagnetic wave sent by the satellite and reflected by the water surface. Here the travel time taken when electromagnetic wave is sent from the satellite, it will come to the water and it will be reflected by looking at the reflected time, or you can say overall travel time, then the reservoir levels will be assessed, right. This is the mechanism of this altimetry, and here these are basically meant for oceanographic studies, but rivers as well as reservoir water levels are being found. And please don't forget about Saral Altica. Altica is the Ka band altimeter built by French National Space Agency. So this Saral Altica is the joint venture of India and France. Please don't forget. And more information, the satellite data regularly used to monitor water levels in various important rivers in our country. And it is also used to look at water levels in 50 major reservoirs over India, and altimeter derived river and reservoir water levels. Please understand, it is used for monitoring not only river but also reservoir water levels, and it is made available in these web portals, Mostak and Vedas web portals, in near real time, right. This is one important Saral Altica. We learnt about Scorpene class of submarines, Aditya L1, Saral Altica, and now cess and surcharge. One important aspect of cess and surcharge is, cess and surcharge both are not required to be shared with the states. In recent times, because of cess and surcharge, almost the share of cess and surcharges as a total percentage of tax revenues almost touched 9 to 10% in the overall tax revenues. So what is so special about cess and surcharge? Cess is imposed for particular purposes. Swachh Bharat cess is example. Government has to spend only for that purpose, and it is not to be shared with the states. Similarly, surcharge is not to be shared with the states and normally imposed when income exceeds a certain limit, or sometimes tax on tax, but government can spend it for any purpose, and both will go to Consolidated Fund of India, and after going to Consolidated Fund of India, the cess will be earmarked for particular purpose, and surcharge can be used for any purpose. So this is the basic difference between cess and surcharge, and please don't forget, in recent times the percentage of cess and surcharge in the overall tax collections of the center is increasing, right. Then Myanmar became the 7th member of SASEC. What is the SASEC? SASEC, you can say it is the initiative of Asian Development Bank. That means it is the project based partnership to promote regional prosperity by improving cross-border connectivity, boosting trade among the member countries, and strengthening regional economic cooperation. So, it was established in 2001 in response to the request of 4 countries of South Asia, and ADB houses the secretariat and the lead financier of SASEC program. So, the main purpose of SASEC I will tell you in a nutshell. Now, Myanmar became the new member, including Myanmar. There are 7 members, please go through it. And here India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, these 5 South Asian members, and Maldives is also there, and Myanmar is added now. And SASEC is basically for improving cross border connectivity, boosting trade among the member countries, and improving this regional economic cooperation. And it is the brainchild of Asian Development Bank, you can say. It has supported 46 projects worth $9 billion. Then European Union, I have given various organs of European Union. Please have a look at these organs. More than that, from examination perspective, please look into this. At present, European Union has got 28 members, and out of 28 members, UK is going to leave. Already it triggered Article 50 of Lisbon Treaty. So, for the country to leave from European Union, it has to trigger Article 50 of Lisbon Treaty, and maximum it will get 2 years. So, in the month of March, UK triggered Article 50. So, by March 2019, it will leave European Union. Then one more point is Eurozone. At present, there are 19 countries which maintain common single currency of Euro, and the Euro was established based on Maastricht Treaty of 1992. And more than that, European Economic Area is there. European Economic Area covers all the 28 countries of European Union, along with 3 countries, Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway. So, please do not forget about European Economic Area. And one more important aspect is Schengen Area. Schengen Area, at present 26 countries are there with that is visa free travel, or you can say with single passport across the national boundaries, you can travel in 26 countries. So, when someone is talking about Lisbon Treaty, Eurozone, European Union, Maastricht Treaty, European Economic Area, at the same time Schengen Zone, all these things please do not forget. Next one is, here I would like to tell you 2 things. National Mineral Exploration Trust is one thing. District Mineral Foundation is another thing. These 2 things, concepts must be clear in your mind. National Mineral Exploration Trust, this promote exploration in the country. So, mineral exploration activities are to be intensified so that mineral deposits must be brought to the mineable stage, right? Because something may be hidden inside the ground that is to be explored, and that has to be brought to the mineable stage. So, for that purpose, this National Mineral Exploration Trust is intended for promoting mineral exploration in the country. And here, leaseholders contribute 2% of royalty to NMET. Leaseholders contribute 2% to NMET. And please do not forget, Pradhan Mantri Khanij Kshetriya Kalyan Yojana, Khanij Kshetra Kalyan Yojana, and the objective is to implement various developmental and welfare programs in mining affected areas. In mining affected areas, various developmental projects are to be taken and to maintain or ensure long-term sustainable livelihoods, and high priority areas are drinking water supply, health care, sanitation, education, skill development, of course. And they will get 60% of the share of the funds, and balance funds will be for roads, railways, waterway projects, etc. And the money will come from District Mineral Foundation. We discussed about National Mineral Exploration Trust, that is different. District Mineral Foundation is different. Here, central government notified contributions miners would be required to make to the District Mineral Foundation. Existing leaseholders required to pay 30%, whereas the new mining leases in the auctions, they have to pay 10% of the applicable royalty to the District Mineral Foundation. So, NMET 2%, this District Mineral Foundation is 10%, and the basic purpose of this District Mineral Foundation is to socio-economic development of the areas where mines are being developed, so that the lives of the people will not be affected. Right friends, we discussed about District Mineral Foundation. Then Board of Reserve Bank approved transfer of 66,000 crore to the central government. Here, every year Reserve Bank transfers money to the central government, and 3-4 important points, don't forget, from examination perspective. RBI follows accounting year from July to June, very important. RBI transfers surplus to the central government because central government is the promoter of the institution, and it is non-tax revenue to the central government. This revenue which is transferred from RBI to the government is non-tax revenue to the central government. And how the RBI earns money? RBI earns through investment activities, substantial investments in US Treasury bills, substantial income from investments in US Treasury bills, commissions and interests earned through currency market interventions, then interest earned on bond holdings through open market operations. Then in forward currency markets also it is more active. Because of all these things, Reserve Bank of India earns money and it transfers to the central government every accounting year, after the end of every accounting year, which is from July to June, and it is non-tax revenue to the central government. Then permanent residency status. Central government took a decision that it will grant permanent residency status to the foreign investors. Here, if foreigners invest some minimum investment, say 10 crores, maybe 25 crores, something like that, and if they look at minimum employment generation also, and if some of the conditions are satisfied, or if the conditions are satisfied here, then they will be granted permanent residency status up to 20 years, so that they can purchase residential property and their spouse or dependents can work in private sector in our country. And this permanent residency status, that is the thing which is for the foreign investors who invest in our country, and subject to certain guidelines it will be granted. Project Development Fund. Union government cleared project development fund with a corpus of rupees 500 crore to explore business opportunities in CLMV countries. CLMV countries are the underdeveloped countries of ASEAN, 4 countries, the name suggests, and here it could serve as gateway to other markets, and it may act as dedicated market for Indian raw materials and intermediate goods. Then please look into this. Then G20, and here G20, from Indian side the chairperson will be the Prime Minister, but Sherpa will be there. What is the meaning of Sherpa? Sherpa will represent from India, and finally Prime Minister will attend. So Sherpa is Arvind Panagadia, and G20 has got no permanent secretariat. Host country heads the chairmanship, and discussions normally take place on international financial and monetary policies, reform of international financial institutions, world economic development, and G20 constitutes almost 85% of world GDP, 80% of world trade, and 2/3 of global population, right. Next one is 11th East Asia Summit was held, and this East Asia Summit, ASEAN countries, 10 ASEAN countries with 8 countries, this constitute East Asia Summit. These are the members of East Asia Summit, you can say. Please look into this slide. And this was established in 2005 to further the objectives of regional peace, security and prosperity, basically to have wider engagement in Asia Pacific region. Anyhow, I am going to cover the international organizations. Then Trinamool Congress became the 7th national party in India. it became national party because it is recognized as a state party in these 4 states, West Bengal, Tripura, Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh. And what are the rules and regulations to be recognized as national party? I have given here. You can go through this. Then the next one is Union government notified National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, and this is monitored by Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, very important. And apprentice, if you look at countries like China, China may have around 2 to 3 crore apprentices, whereas Japan around 1 crore apprentices, Germany 60 lakh apprentices, whereas in our country apprentices are only 3 lakh or 2 lakh. So the industry interaction for developing the skills of the youth of the country is missing. For that, government has evolved, government notified this apprenticeship promotion scheme, 50 lakh apprentice to be trained by 2019-20. Outlay is rupees 10,000 crore, and central government, most important, will share 25% of the stipend, and central government will bear 50% of the total expenditure incurred on providing basic training. So these 3 points are very, very important. Then the national health accounts, and here out of the current expenditure, household expenditure is 73%, and if you calculate the overall out of pocket expenditure from the households in the total health expenditure, it comes to around 66 or 67%, which is very high. And another important point is state government spends 12.7, central government just 7.8, and if you look at the health spending on overall GDP, it was 1.15%, out of which 0.75% of GDP by the states and balance by the center. This is all about national health accounts. Then viability gap funding will be given for the laying of natural gas pipeline and Jagdishpur Haldia, Bokaro Dhamra. Viability gap funding, what is the meaning of this? The meaning is, if a project is to be undertaken which may not be financially viable, government will support that project by giving some grant. That is viability gap funding, right? Global trade growth, the lagging GDP growth, this is important development, please understand. Now global trade growth is less than the global GDP growth. Global GDP growth is around 3%, whereas global trade of merchandise goods is around 2%. That is the important point to note and the important development during the past few years. Right friends, we conclude here, and from next week onwards, we will concentrate exclusively on specific topics. So this is miscellaneous, but some of the S&T items I covered here, and in the next questions and answers also, I will cover some more items. So please do join for Q&A within few minutes. Have a nice day. Thank you.